A marvelous and joyful day, everyone. We are the Group 5 and we will bring you the hottest, sizzling topic of the month. Yes, you've heard it right. We will bring you the hottest topic today, which is the global media cultures. But before we start, why don't we introduce the other member of Group 5? Please help me welcome Miss Lapasana, Mr. Lebron, Miss Varquez, Miss Villarde, and lastly, the one and only Mr. Villafuerte.
Global media cultures explores the relationship between the media, culture, and globalization. The course approaches past and current challenges concerning international communication and explore the power of media representation. So the media have an important impact on cultural globalization in two mutually interdependent ways. First, the media provide an extensive transnational transmission of cultural products, and secondly, they contribute the formation of communicative networks and social structures. So the rapidly growing supply of media products from an international media culture present a challenge to existing local and international culture. The sheer volume of the supply, as well as the vast technological infrastructure and financial capital that pushes this supply forward, have a considerable impact on local patterns of cultural consumption and possibilities for sustaining an independent cultural production. Global media cultures create a continuous cultural exchange in which crucial aspects such as identity, nationality, religion, behavioral norms, and way of life are continuously questioned and challenged. So these cultural encounters often involve the meeting of cultures with a different socio-economic base, typically a transnational and commercial cultural industry on one side and a national, publicly regulated cultural industry on the other side. Due to their very structure, global media promote a restructuring of cultural and social communities. Just as media such as press and later radio and television have been very important institutions for the formation of national communities, global media support the creation of new communities. The internet, for example, not only facilitates communication across the globe, but also it supports the formation of new social communities in which members can interact with each other. And satellite television and radio allow immigrants to be in close contact with their homeland's language and culture while they gradually accommodate a new cultural environment. The common point of departure for the research program and its individual projects is the assumption that a series of international media constitutes a global cultural supply in itself and serve as an independent agency for cultural and social globalization, in which cultural communities are continuously restructured and redefined. Now let us identify what is globalization, media, and culture. So, globalization is the process by which the world is becoming increasingly interconnected as a result of massively increased trade and cultural exchange. So, it is a set of multiple and even and sometimes overlapping historical process which involve the economics, politics, and culture that is combined with the evolution of media technology. Next, we have media. So it played significant roles in shaping the global processes of economics, politics, and culture, which are the three aspects that make up the multidimensionality of globalization. And it is a tool for interaction of people with different cultures and a career of culture. And next, we have the culture. So, culture is a unified style of human knowledge, beliefs, and behavior from which people learn and the ability to communicate knowledge to the next generation. So, its development has been mainly influenced by media. Globalization and media have been partners throughout history. They've created conditions by which people can now imagine that they are part of a singular world. Globalization entails the spread of various cultures. When a film is made in Hollywood, it is shown not only in the United States, but also in other cities across the world. Globalization also involves the spread of ideas. For example, the notion of the rights of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender communities is spreading across the world and becoming more widely accepted. So many scholars study globalization by pairing it with another concept, such as globalization and identity, globalization and human rights, globalization and culture, or globalization and terrorism. Such studies are extremely important. However, the pairing of globalization and media offers special insights. In fact, this topic will suggest that globalization could not occur without media, that globalization and media act in a concert and cohort, and the two have parted throughout the whole of human history. If we look at the span of globalization across time in the arenas of economic, politics, and culture, we can see media as essential in every phase. Now let's proceed to the evolution of media and globalization. There are five periods in the evolution of media and globalization, which are the oral communication, script, printing press, electronic media, and digital. So first we have the oral communication. So language allow humans to communicate and share information. So let us remember that speech is the most overlooked medium in histories of globalization. Yet the oral medium or the human speech is the oldest and the most enduring of all media. So when speech developed into language, Homo sapiens had developed a medium that would set them apart from every other species and allows them to cover and conquer the world. So how did the medium of language aid globalization? First, the language allowed humans to cooperate. Second, sharing information about land, water, climate, and weather aided humans' ability to travel and adapt to different environments. Next, sharing information about tools and weapons lead to the spread of technology. And lastly, humans eventually moved to every corner of the world, encountering new environments and experiences, so language was their most important tool. Now, let's proceed to the second evolution of media and globalization, which is the script. So, the script is the very first writing that allows humans to communicate and share knowledge and ideas over much larger spaces and across much longer times. So, early writing system began to appear after 3000 BCE with symbols carved in clay tablets to keep account of trade, for example, the cuneiform of Mesopotamia. Now let's proceed to the third evolution of media and globalization, which is the printing press. So prior to the printing press, the production and copying of written documents was slow and expensive. So after the advent of printing press, it allowed a continuous production, reproduction, and circulation of print materials. So the printing press encouraged the literacy of the public and growth of schools. To the rise of inexpensive, easily obtained magazines and daily newspaper brought news from around the world to the people. People increasingly learn of lands and culture far from where they could travel. They learn about the world, and truly, the printing press helped foster globalization and knowledge of globalization. Next, the fourth evolution is the electronic media. Beginning the 19th century, a host of new media will revolutionize the ongoing process of globalization, and it includes the telegraph, telephone, radio, film, and television. So the wide range of this media continue to opens up new perspective in economic, political, and cultural processes of globalization. Now we are down to the last evolution of media and globalization, which is the digital media. So it allows the advertisement of products and online business transaction. So since early times, people have been using media to communicate with each other. Types of media that people communicate with starting out at the tablet cave paintings and Egyptian pyramids. This eventually progressed to people using ink on paper printing, photography, recorded audio, and video. And today, there are many new forms of media, such as video games, animation, and of course, the internet. So, digital media is a type of electronic media where information is stored in digital form. And digital media is different to analog media where information is stored in analog form. For examples of digital media includes digital photos, digital video, MP3, music, podcast, emails, games, ebooks, and web page. Digital media uses computer technologies to communicate information, and analog media is stored in analog forms such as the paper video cassette, tapes, printed photos, printed newspapers, and books. So, multimedia is a combination of more than one type of media, such as a website that uses videos such as pictures, sounds, and text. So, let us all remember that each of the eras, like the oral, script, print, electronic, and digital, we saw marked influences of media on globalization. So it is difficult to imagine globalization occurring without media that are so crucial to human life.
First, let us talk about the role of media in globalization. Nowadays, mass media plays a key role in extension of globalization process. The media components such as television, internet, computers, and etc. are considered to have paramount influence on globalization. It is said that mass media plays a vital role in the globalization process. Many people argue that the media and globalization go hand in hand. According to Boyle in the year 2007, he argues that this media has changed the way young people spend more time online on social networks with a global reach. Teenagers, in particular, are more likely to utilize social media platforms than other age groups because they like to look up information about their idols and listen to music by those musicians abroad. The media has a variety of effects on people, both good and bad. People can communicate with one another through news updates or even social networking thanks to the media. The media provides a means for society to unite and educate itself. The media has a significant influence in how people think and greatly affects the private lives of members of our society. We are all aware of the positive effects of media, particularly in terms of communication. Through the use of televisions, radios, and other visible media that can aid in our informational needs, media also enables us to be aware of what is happening in our immediate surroundings. And at this juncture, let us all know if mass media is a positive force in globalization. According to McLuhan in the year 1962, he used the term global village. He states that mass media is a force for positive change in the world, that mass media break down barriers of understanding. The world is experiencing many changes which have resulted in the elimination of boundaries in how people communicate and connect. People can communicate with their peers worldwide without limitations on time or distance. People on one continent can engage in trade with those on another continent. Technological advances marked by the emergence of the internet and social media have made it easier to communicate and reduce the world into a global village. And that is why, according to McLuhan, media has a positive force in globalization. American fast food restaurants, fashion brands, and media outlets have conquered the world due to technological advances. This is the result of the emergence of global media. According to Terry Flew in 2002, he suggests that media, through globalization, has created a global popular culture. Through television and the internet, global corporations, for example, Starbucks and McDonald's, have spread globally identifiable culture. The spread of different cultural cuisines throughout society is another obvious example of cultural globalization. We can now find food and drink from all over the world in diverse, multi ethnic cities without ever stepping into those countries. However, this also means that fast food giants have become increasingly popular and have reduced the prevalence of local foods and eating habits. Lastly, the pluralist approach to the mass media argues that the media, like society, has become more diverse. It offers greater variety choice than ever before. Pluralists argue that the power in democratic, free market societies is spread out among diverse competing interest groups and not concentrated in the hands of a minority economic elite as Marxist suggests. From the pluralist perspective, audiences are active rather than passive and not easily manipulated. They are free to select, reject, and reinterpret a wide range of media content and they increasingly take advantage of new technologies and new media to produce their own content. And now let us talk about the positive role of media. The first positive role of media is it helps to strengthen friendship and relations. Social networks were created as a way or a place to connect with friends quickly and easily. Truly speaking, many of us might have found our old friends from high school or elementary who are out of touch due to one reason or another. Well, we would say that we have and we thank social networks for this. Media has provided us the opportunity to connect with people and build better relationship with friends with whom we are unable to meet personally and let them know about our life and take input about their lives and events happening with them. Next, we have here media helps to reduce communication barriers. With the help of social networks, we can spread our message and share our opinions with a wide audience about a variety of subjects. The sharing feature available on the social networks makes your opinion about any topic reach a huge number of people, even those who are not on our friends list. We have the options to make groups with people who are like minded and share related news with them and ask for their opinion or input about the topic. Simply, there are a number of options available for us to communicate with others on these social networks. The third one is media opens opportunities for business. Social media platforms assist business owners in using a variety of strategies to market their goods. Businesses have noticed the value of social networks in our life. There are a number of customized applications being made on the social platforms whose main purpose is to promote the product or brand. As social marketing is cost effective and brands have a huge audience, they are shifting more towards social marketing. And lastly, media helps us to become more aware and responsible. We depend on the media to keep us informed about events that have an impact on our lives, our jobs, and our surroundings. But the media also sheds light on other important matters such as the actions of political figures or parties, which in turn helps us to make decisions about who to support and vote for. Without this knowledge, we could be endorsing something that we may not agree with without even knowing. Kenyan environmental and political activist Wangari Maathai raises the important point that media exposes ills in society and holds leaders accountable. It often said that the media plays a watchdog role by keeping an eye on our leaders and holding them accountable for their actions. In addition to the roles of media, another important benefit of it is that information can be relayed quickly in times of crisis. Weather and calamities announcements can give large populations advance warning and allow them to take precautions and move out of harm's way.
Is mass media a negative force in globalization? First, Finto 1999 argues that global culture has led to the westernization of other cultures. The mass media forces Western cultural values, especially American or non-Western countries. It is premised on the fact that there are different globalizations going on today. This comprehensive study successfully integrates structural and symbolic analysis of communications and media policy in these conflicted spaces of the nation state, transnation, and subnation. Chakravarti and Sarikakis remarkably systematic approach to media policy, technology and content, and civil society formation fills in crucial details left behind by grand theory, including progressive post-colonial theory of global communication. And the second one, the mass media is damaging other cultures and promoting cultural homogenization where everything is the same. Cultural homogenization can impact national identity and culture, which would be eroded by the impact of global cultural industries and multinational media. The term is usually used in the context of Western culture dominating and destroying other cultures. The process of cultural homogenization in the context of domination of the Western American capitalist culture is also known as McDonaldization, colonization, Americanization, or Westernization, and criticized as form of cultural imperialism and neocolonialism. Alright, so now let's proceed to other criticism of the mass media and globalization. First, let's have corporate entities a threat to democracy. Next, a lack of regulation. The internet is the wild west of information. And the third one, mass audiences has led to the dumping down of content. There is actually less consumer choice. And the fourth, increased social isolation, virtuality, and a loss of social capital, real human networks of support in communities. And lastly, digital divide whereby those who don't have access to the mass media miss out, creating global inequality.
Media. The media are seen today as playing a key role in enhancing globalization, facilitating culture exchange and multiple flows of information and image between countries through international news broadcast, television programming, new technologies, film, and music. In most general sense is the phenomenological environment of media industry. Media globalization is a complex collection of many modern changes like cultural, economic, communication, institutional, and others through the technological innovation in communication and their application in media. It has become the global village, a term by McLuhan according to D. Wang 2008. To define economic globalization, it refers to the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, flow of international capital, and the wide and rapid spread of technologies. One of the example for this is the media foster the conditions for global capitalism. They fill our days with invitations and exhortations for consumption from ceaseless commercial on radio and television to product placement in films to digital billboards to pop-up ads to broadsheets in bathroom stalls. So second, economic and cultural globalization arguably would be impossible without a global commercial media system to promote global markets and encourage consumer values. So it is very understandable that media has a big part of the economic globalization. Second, media and political globalization. The media are seen today as playing a key role in enhancing globalization, facilitating cultural exchange and multiple flows of information image between countries through international news broadcast, television programming, new technologies, film, and music. Political globalization refers to the ripple effects and continuity of political relationships between countries, setting up international organizations such as UN, NATO, WTO, which debates and regulate international politics and trade, is also an example of this type of globalization. Example for this is the creation and existence of the United Nations has been called one of the classic examples of political globalization. Political actions by non-governmental organizations and social movements concerned about various topics such as environmental protection. So there is also an issue about media and political globalization. One of this is media corporations are themselves powerful political actors, but smaller individual journalists are also intimidated as more actors contend for power. So this is very timely and relevant issues in our country as well. To wrap up this discussion, um, throughout the ages, media has contributed to bringing the world together. The emergence of the internet, social media, has greatly shaped globalization. Social network provides a platform for dissemination of information. Media strengthens social relations. Social media also has enabled the populace to interact with family members and friends who live far. So, media also provides a forum for cultural exchange, economic exchange. People learn other people's culture as they share their own. So, social media has a very huge impact towards economic globalization and political globalization as well.
Circulation of cultural commodities such as music has been made possible due to the current technologies of mediation. With the ongoing development of modern technology, it has come to the point that people maximize the utilization of different mediums. These include social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many more. Others may also include Spotify, YouTube Music, and many more. Media and cultural globalization. Media is a good carrier of culture. It also generates numerous and ongoing interactions. Globalization will bring about an increasing blending or mixture of culture. In conclusion, global media culture explores the relationship between the media, culture, and globalization. The course approaches past and current challenges concerning international communication and explores the problematizes the power of media representation. It goes on with a long process of development to come this point, which is far enough for human mind to reach the present times.